Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The last of the year Wasteless World talks are here. Today with Bill, because Mark is enjoying already the time with his family, and Kevin with his movies, I think, but I'm not sure, but with his work, this is what I'm sure. And we are here with Bill, and we are here for 4 years already, meeting every Wednesday, and which is unbelievable. And the term today is rebirth or reborn. And my question to you, Bill, when you hear the term rebirth, what came first to your mind, please?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was a religious connotation, in that when I was growing up, we were told that you had to be reborn. You have to be reborn in the church, um, and that you have to, I think it's a way of saying that you had to make an active decision to not keep doing everything you've been doing, but to start living the way God, mm, I don't know if it's the way God wants us to, but it's the way that the church tells us to. So, so that's one of the reasons, one of the things that comes to mind. How about you? Why did you choose this?
I choose it for two reasons. The first one is that exactly 7 months ago, I was reborn in a new relationship. And it is exactly 7 months. And in 7 days from now on, I will be reborn in a loving family related to my new relationship. So it's quite interesting that both of these terms that we are meeting in somehow in the middle of 2/7. And I was very emotional when I realized that I will be born again in a loving a family. Very emotional because, the first time we are born, I say we know everything, but we cannot explain it. We cannot speak. We cannot do much. But in some way, we don't know anything. But in 7 days, I will be born with the knowledge of 54 years young man. And it is a very different feeling. And this is why I have chosen the term. It was so close to me. And my question, the next question to you, many of us has been already reborn because of some accident, because of some activity, because of something else. What about you? Do you remember that?
Absolutely, and it mirrors your experience a great deal, I think. Um, in that when I was in school, I was very focused. Um, Work hard, get good grades, so that I can go to a good university. Go to a good university, get good grades, so that I can get a good job. Get a good job, make decent money, so that I can get a good family, and so on. So it just built one on top of the other, and it wasn't until, gosh, maybe I was 40. But it was later in life, and I had been through several different jobs and moved a couple of times and had, progressed in several ways. But I realized one day I am not happy. This is not the way it's supposed to be turning out. So um, I went through the same sort of thing. Um, it was a divorce in which my life was shattered, because a divorce is never supposed to happen. Um, and then and then 2 years later, I found myself in a relationship with a new person, and so it was absolutely a rebirth, because I think back to some of the things that I had done or that I had allowed in the first 40 years, and I can't believe that I allowed that. Why did I allow that? Right? Why didn't I make a different choice? Um, but be that as it may, it is I have a new this is new life, and I'm not going to screw it up the way I did the first time.
Uh,
Although I probably shouldn't say that because I don't feel as though I screwed it up. Maybe it just didn't turn out the way that I had always planned. So all of a sudden, I'm a whole lot smarter.
uh, as you said, I had really the same experience. Just it happened suddenly, and it happened recently comparing to you. But as you explain it, I just remember your words about your mom as a painter, as she painted a painting and she didn't know what it is. You asked her, she didn't know. And then one day you came there and she had the answer. Do you think that man-made things like paintings, like books, are being reborn after you understand what it is? For example, as a child, I read the Czech translation of The Little Prince. It was a nice fairy tale, but there has been many nicer ones. But when I took the book as an adult, I was fascinated. I was fascinated by the selection of the words I read in English at the time, then in German as well, and it was like a dream. For me, the book was reborn. So, what do you think about?
I I can show you that picture, by the way. It's hanging on the wall. Um, I don't think that that is man-made. I do not think that the pictures that my mother made are man-made. I I really don't think that when I finish a chapter in a book that that is man-made because I can work in the evening for 3 or 4 or 5 hours and suddenly realize, geez, how did it get to be 10 o'clock at night? Um, that was not me that did that. But there's something. It's not man-made or something else made. There is a joining of the two. So uh, it's I think that I'm surprised that it took me that long to understand it, but that's there's a whole lot we don't know.
In the morning, when I was preparing for the next newsletter, following message came to me from Vatican. It's text
From the
as the
Vatican.
yes, it's text as Industry 5.0, and it is an article written by some priest, probably hard to say, and the title is as follow: The human algorithm. Are we becoming obsolete or developing new superpowers? It is quite interesting article, to be honest, because it looks like that the man or the women, probably the man, Don, whatever, father, something, uh, he was thinking really deep about the topic. And it is interesting because it's almost a year after we have some discussion with Vatican about Industry 5.0 because they use the principles and so on. And you know, same as me, there is no coincidence, and it appeared today in the morning. So it's quite interesting. But as you said, it's not man-made. Can we say it's heart-made or soul-made?
Yeah, I would like to use a word other than something that sounds physical, like heart made or man made. it's it's often a different world, and it's a joining between our energy, and someday we'll understand more what this energy out there is, and we will understand, I'm sure, that there are many intersections between our energy as we are writing and and the energy from the universe. There are so many different, and that's why I don't believe in coincidence, because I know so many energies, my father's energy, my mother's energy, my grandparents' energy, my on and on and on and on. And I have seen each of them. My mom, when I walk on the beach, very often I will notice out of the corner of my eye, she's back there behind me picking up shells, which is what she used to always do. Um, there's a lot, there's just a lot more. I could give you a list of 15 different times when I was in touch with um, something that is not of this world. If we have a minute, I'll tell you one of them. You want to hear one of them? It's short.
Of course.
Galina's, my wife, worked for a company. The company was owned by a woman. Her husband also helped to run it, although he was, anyhow, we'll leave that alone. Um, they got into an argument at their home one night, and and one of them pulled out a handgun from the nightstand. Don't know who did. Anyhow, she ended up dead. Um, the next day, Galena and I were at our favorite breakfast place, and Galena had gone to the ladies' room, and uh, and her phone rang, and I reached over and I picked it up, and it was this lady's brother, and he said, "We just need to tell Galena uh, that her boss has passed away." And I said, "What? She's 50 years old. I mean, people don't just pass away at 50 years old." He said it was a domestic accident. And when Galena came back and we left, we went to the ocean and we're talking about what is a domestic accident. Did she fall off a ladder? What is a domestic accident? As we are walking by the ocean, there's all these big uh, boulders that are, they breakwaters. And so we're stepping onto the next one, onto the next one, and there's a space between each one of them. And I was walking behind Galena, and my eye caught something. It's probably the same eye that caught my mother back there. I don't know. And I saw something, didn't process it fast enough. Went back and stuck my hand down between the rocks, and my hand came up with a handgun. So Galena and I looked at each other. We put the gun back. I don't want that thing with me. And said, if we find out later that she died from a gun, we'll know that she was giving us this message right now. So that's a communication between, you know, the earth and somebody's no longer of this earth. And of course, a couple of days later, we did find out that was exactly the case. Not the only time, but it is not simply our world, and maybe there's something out there. It's our world mingling with the other energy out there. and I have no idea what the boundaries or how far it goes. And Galena does not fully agree with that either. Galena thinks that when somebody dies, you need to let that person go. If you keep thinking about them and keep talking about them, that you are holding them back from going on to the next level. I've not reconciled myself to that argument, but it bears some consideration. So anyhow, I don't believe in coincidences.
Um, when I had the noon talk, it was interesting because there was Leslie, Charito, and there was Philip, and all of them they remembered something to be reborn. Different occasions, different whether it was art or not, but frequently it was connected to something negative, uh, car crash, for example, and so on. And I do remember partly, and they describe it how the soul is leaving the body and then coming back and so on when somebody. I do remember when I was a child in a communist Czechoslovakia. I was 10, 12, I don't know. It was just short before Christmas, like today, probably. And there has been no books about meditation or Asia or religions and so on. But I was sitting in my room and meditating. I didn't know what I'm doing, but for the first time, I was in nirvana. So I really saw my sitting body through the eyes of my, let's call it floating a body or soul, which left. It was a very interesting, but the most interesting part was that firstly, after 10 years, I realized what it was because there has been no books about it. Uh, and as they describe it today, I remember that moment. And I think it is so important. I think there was very interesting first statement by Leslie. She said, "We are reborn every single moment, again and again and again, every single day." And that's quite interesting because many take the possibility of being reborn just in connection of with being death or in danger of death or at the moment of birthday. But the fact is, nature is new every single day. Every breath is some way of being reborn. So it's quite interesting topic.
And to truly know yourself, isn't it necessary to have some level of rebirth? Rebirth? Can you
As
truly know yourself if you don't go through that? If your mind does not have that aha moment?
I think that you miss a part. As you said, you have been married for many years. Then, when you met someone, you realized that something was wrong, but you did not realize that before. I have exactly the same for 26 years. Exactly the same. I was there every single day, working hard, bringing the money on the table, and so on. And I knew there is something wrong for 10 or 12 years. But I just lived with it. I just concentrate on my work. I just did what I can. I spent more time in work than at home until I met Jane. And just now I do realize that I can live a very different life. But I did not because of the, I call it the professional blindness, because of the eye flaps on my eyes. And maybe there is something like rebirth needed to realize that. I'm not sure, but I think so.
I think to go further, we we may need to include maybe Mark and Kevin at a future date. Um, yeah, I think the whole journey of rebirth, of first realizing that you're not, that there was something wrong, and that awareness is very very important. Like you always say about waste, awareness is the first step. Then once you have the awareness, then your brain will process that to figure out just what the heck that means. And of course, it's going to mean something different for different people. And in fact, somebody said at that point, you either, that's a fork in the road, and you either go this fork, which makes you become um, maybe more mean or less forgiving, or you take this road, but you're going to take one of those roads, and that's an active choice.
Do you think that AI can help us to choose the right path? If there is
Changing it. So somebody's going to have to program that AI. So which of those two paths is going to program it?
I tried today in the morning to ask Google AI in a search machine uh, when Industry 5.0 was introduced. The answer, make it short, was 1921 European Commission. Then I asked, who is the founder of Industry 5.0? It was the second question. And the same AI says Mike Rada, and it introduced in 2015. Why I'm saying that? Because it's generally, I don't see AI as intelligent, and we spoke about it, because it just delivers the answer on a question without thinking, without combining, without considering whether it can be that or that. And from my own experience, the first answer is almost every time wrong. I cannot say about other, of course. I know the topic about Industry 5.0 because I know everything about it. But it's quite interesting. And I was discussing this today with my friend. And he said, I have exactly the same experience. I am asking, it deliver the answer which should satisfy me. But if I know the answer already, I realize the answer is wrong in some way. So it is very dangerous to slip into this AI knows everything better, because then you will not ask the second question.
Yes. and and I think of AI as a box of knowledge, and somebody has programmed whatever knowledge it has programmed it in there. But that's not necessarily all the knowledge, right? It's just all that this programmer could put in there. So it's very possible that there is even more than this box of knowledge. There's even more knowledge out there. So to deal with AI, the challenge is to ask your second question, or your third, or your fourth, or keep asking it 10 times a day. And at the end of a week, what answer do you have now? And whatever answer you have now, is that truth? Is that true? And chances are it's not. So people need to learn the limitations of AI.
Did you notice that yesterday launched Google the new translation, simultaneous translation for all its devices. You just need earplugs or earphones, connect to Google Translate, and it will simultaneously translate into 70 languages. For me, it's a nightmare because, I love language because I don't understand it perfectly and I would like to learn it. I like the sound of foreign language and to be translated. And I hear the samples. It's really like man-made translation with the voice of women translating and so on, even intonation. It's really well done. But how do I know that the translation is right?
That is similar to when you ask somebody, a human being, for an answer. Maybe your boss, maybe your coworker, and you ask them for an answer and they give you an answer. How do you know that that's right? Or if it is your child and you ask them for an answer and they give you an answer, number one, how do you know that it's right? Number two, do you as a parent have some sort of obligation to help to steer your child into other possibilities? So our grandchildren are almost 10 and almost 8, are the two boys, and then the little girl's 4. But they ask questions all the time. They don't stop. They don't shut up. It drive you nuts. Um, but they're at the 8 and 10-year-old are at the point where they are asking absolutes. Is Trump good? Is Trump bad? Um, you know, a long list. You can come up with that list. Uh, and nothing in this world, and what I need to teach them, there's nothing in this world that isn't absolute. I'm not sure that I believe in truth, right? Because there is just so many different uh, perspectives to look at it. And your perspective may not be the same as the perspective of a different society in the Southern Hemisphere, for example. Or your perspective may be different from somebody who survived the war, or lots of other perspectives. So, does truth exist? So, I think maybe rebirth, being reborn, is a step in acknowledging the many different perspectives of truth.
Is it something like to get a second chance?
Yeah, well, see, again, I don't really believe in second chances because our whole life is a chance and is the next chance and the next chance. And so we're not right or wrong. A decision we make when we're 15, we may have made a different one at 16 or and so on. So a second chance, in a way it is, but that makes it sound like the first chance, there's a stop point. Okay, you screwed up. Okay, you get a second chance. That's just the way that my brain takes that. And I don't like to think of life as a series of mistakes, changes. I'd rather see life as, um, okay, we're going to try this and we're going to try that. Well, that didn't work out so well, so we're going to try this and that, or you know what I mean? And then somebody, one of your friends, suggests something different that a day ago you would have totally rejected, but in this last day you have recognized something more, and so you can now seriously consider that alternative. So I don't know that anybody can ever come up with truth And that's, I'm going to interrupt you only because I want to finish this thought, because there are so many organizations and people who want us to believe in truth, who want us. When I was growing up, there was the government. That was during the Vietnam War. There was the church. That was before the Second Vatican Council. There was nobody's right. And in fact, the people who are telling us what to believe are pushing their own agenda. So I think critical reasoning says you have to keep yourself open to understand. As much as life will allow, you can't understand everything. You'll never understand it. But and then and then accept something as possibly true until you find some evidence that makes it different. I find reading the newspaper these days very difficult. Um, Listening to any sort of politics, very difficult. Every, Everybody seems to know exactly what is right or wrong and what truth is. And I don't think any of them do. And in fact, the more I listen to them, the more I said, that guy's nuts, or, you know, but they insist. And then there are so many people who will say, um, oh, I believe him because he says what I want it to be, or it's so I'm reading a lot less news these days.
It is better to write them generally, but I was again surprised when on Monday appeared one of my postcards written 4 months ago, and it appeared on Tuesday, and it was about the nomination of our new government, and the new government was nominated on Monday. You cannot choose the day, you cannot calculate it because it was so. And really, one day after, appeared the writing from me, which was written 4 months before, and it described exactly what is happening. So, as you said, I don't know what is the truth, but I know that truth came every time before a lie. And maybe the rebirth or to be reborn help us to understand, to see it from different perspective. Maybe it is this way why it is so important. In some religions, there exists a circle of life. You are being reborn, and if you are good, you are being reborn as a human, if not as an animal, and different levels, and so on and so on. And the end is when you are, I think, enlightened, or I don't know how it's called, then you become a god or something like that. But in the other religions, you go straight to hell or you go to the Eden. And but you can buy indulgences. And just now, if if you look at the topics of AI, just before we started, I read that Microsoft is dropping out the co-pilot development because because the people don't use it. They integrate it in Windows, and every single time when I open a new document, I scroll down not to see that AI can help me. Because I try to write a poem or something, I input there 3 words, and after I finish my work and I check the AI work, still the 3 words has been there. Nothing was done. So why should I use it? But the fact is that less and less devices are without AI support, which makes it hard to find it. Of course, you can all the time choose to switch it off, or until now you can find it. There is a discussion with the new government that we promised to buy some F-35 fighter jets from the US. I knew about it. It's a huge investment. We are a small country. to protect our borders and so on. But what I did not realize that these fighter jets should be delivered first in 2031. Why should I buy them today when already today a drone costing $100 can shoot this fighter jet down? There will be completely different technology. And the other thing, I do not support and like anything regarding the war. So why should I allocate billions for something like that? So I think it will be quite interesting if there will be the rebirth, if the, I don't know whether the humans, I think the humans has to be reborn to understand. And at the end of last of the noon discussion, I was thinking for myself, is building wasteless world the rebirth of the blue marble? Or wasn't it there before? And I think it was there before. Just without humans at the time, probably.
I think you're right.
We have 3 minutes left. And I would like to use this opportunity because we will not see each other for almost 3 weeks. Because next week there is a Christmas day on Wednesday. The week after there is the last day of the year. So we will not have the Wasteless World Talks, and we will meet on January 7th. And I would like to wish you, your family, and everyone not only Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, but a time of I don't know whether time of being reborn with the understanding of humanity. Because I know you are human, Galina is human, your grandchildren, your children, all of them, they are great humans. But we need to influence the world around us. So let's together do it again and again and again until the people do understand that to be human, we are born as human, we will die as human. This is given, but we can choose whether we will live as humans. And when I read your books or when I talk to Mark or Kevin or anybody else, we can. And we are the role models of living like humans. And I think this is what should be not only the Christmas time, but the time when we spend together, which should be highlighted.
And Christmas is a time of rebirth.
It is. I just did not, I am not used that everybody in the world, a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people around the globe is celebrating my birthday. You know, it's every single year, it is strange feeling. So have a nice day, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human, and be reborn every single moment.
Thank you. Same to you. Same to Jane. I look forward to this conversation a year from today and just what your rebirth looks like.
Let's see. I hope it will be a positive image. And see you next time in a new year. Bye-bye, Bill.
Bye, everybody.